We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph in Meseches Nazir. This is Nazir Daf 42a. On the previous summit, the Gemara asked, what is Rabbi Eliezer's source that asay is dochelos asay? And the Gemara said the source is the fact that the prohibition of shatnez is next to the mitzvah of tzitzis. It teaches us hagedilim tasa l'chamehem, that you are allowed to make fringes from them, meaning to say you can have fringes, let's say made of wool, let's say you have a garment of linen. The point is that the mitzvah asay of tzitzis overrides the negative prohibition of shatnez, as Rashi says, hagedilim tasa l'chavekadochi lav delo sil b'shatnez. This mitzvah of having fringes, of having tzitzis, overrides, it pushes off the negative commandment of that one is not allowed to wear shatnez. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Amar Mar, the master said, we said above, v'kulam shegilchu shelo besar, o sheshtayru shtei saros lo asav v'lo klum. In all of these cases where it's a mitzvah to shave, if the person shaved without a razor, or let's say he left over 2 hairs, so he has not fulfilled the obligation. And this statement was made in reference to Nazir and Mitzorah and also the Levium. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Acha B'rei Ravika, Rav Acha B'rei Ravika says, Zos Omeris, this shows Rubo Kekulo Midoraisa, that on a Doraisa level, a majority is considered like the entire thing. Mimai, how do we know that? Midugoli Rachmana Gabe Nazir, because Pasuk says by Nazir, by Yom Hashvi Yigalchenu. It says on the 7th day he shaves. So Ha'achahu Adi'ika Kulo. So here specifically he has to shave in the entirety. Habi Alma, but it shows us that in general, Rubo Kekulo, that the majority would be considered like the entirety. And the Rosh explains, Midugoli Rachmana Gabe Nazir by Yom Hashvi Yigalchenu, from the fact that the Pasuk says by Nazir, by Yom Hashvi Yigalchenu, he shaves on the 7th day. That's not needed. It already says that he shaves his head. Rather, that pasuk is teaching us you need a full shaving. Shlo yeshayir klum. You can't leave over anything. Habi alman, that would imply that in general, rubo kakulu, a majority, would be like the entirety. It's only over here, special pasuk says that the nazir has to shave in the entirety. But the Gemara continues, Maskif la Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina asks the following question. Hai ben Nazir Tamek Siv, that pasuk that you just quoted by Yom Hashvi Galchenu, that's not written by a Nazir at the end of his term, a pure Nazir. That's written by an impure Nazir. And the Gemara says, Mechaku Allah b'ma'arava. They laughed at that argument in the West, and they said as follows, Michti, let us see. Nazir Tameh Devitar Minolan. Where do we know that a Nazir who's Tameh, when he shaves, that he uses a razor? Min Nazir Tar Yolif. We actually learned that from a pure Nazir. Lacy Nazir Tar V'leilif min Nazir Tameh. So therefore we can go the other direction also. Let's take Nazir Tar, and that can be learned from Nazir Tameh. You can learn in both directions, one from the other. Ma Tameh, just like by a Nazir Tameh, Kishayir Shtei Saros V'lo Klum. If 2 hairs are left off, it's not going to be effective. One does not fulfill that mitzvah to shave in that fashion. So V'lo Klumava, that's considered nothing. Hachanami here also, Kishayir Shtei Saros V'lo Klumava. If the person leaves over 2 hairs, it's considered like he did not fulfill the obligation. And the Gemara continues, Abaye asks, Nazir Shagilach V'Shayir Shtei Saros. Let's say a Nazir shaves, leaves over 2 hairs. Tzamach Rosho, then his hair grows again. V'Chazar V'Gilchan, but then he shaves those 2. Mahu, so then what's the halacha? Mima'akvi Olo, does that hold him back from fulfilling the obligation or not? The Gemara continues with a similar question. Rava asks, Nazir Shagilach, let's say a Nazir shaves, V'Niach Shtei Saros, leaves over 2 hairs. V'Gilach Achas V'Noshra Achas, he shaves then one of those 2, but one of them falls out. Mahu, what's the halacha in that case? And Tosas explains Rava's question, Nazir Shagilach V'Niach Shtei Saros, again a Nazir shaves, leaves over 2 hairs. V'Gilach Achas V'Noshra Achas, he shaves one of the 2 and the other one falls out. Kilomar Hashniya Mahu, means to say that second shaving that he does, is that considered shaving? Mi Amrinan Kevin Delo Gilach Shtei Saros Lav Giluach. Who do we say, since he didn't actually shave 2 hairs in that second attempt, that's not called shaving? Shtei Saros is Bushir Giluach. You have to have at least 2 hairs to be called shaving. Odilmor maybe Hashtamiya Lavi Kasar Klal. Right now, there is no hair, all his hair is removed, and therefore it should be effective. And so that was Rava's question. And the Gemara continues, Amalei Rav Achami Difti L'Ravina. Rav Achami Difti said to Ravina in reference to Rava's question, Gilo Sarah Kami Boile L'Rava. Rav is asking if a person shaves 1 hair at a time, is that a question? Of course that's going to be effective. Tosa says, Amalei Rav Achami Difti L'Ravina Gilach Sarah Mi Boile L'Rava. Bitmi, it's a wonder that Rav would ask this. Kolomar Havadai Giluach Have, that certainly is going to be considered shaving. Kevin Shabola Galeach Have Shir Giluach, because when he attempted to shave that second time, there were 2 hairs, and then it happened to be one of them fell out after he shaved one of them. That certainly should be considered shaving. So that would not have been Rava's question. And so the Gemara says, Ela'ema, rather explain Rava's question as follows, say it as follows, Noshra achas vigilach achas mahu. First one of the hairs fell out, and then he went and shaved the other one. So that's already a question. Now at the time that he's doing the second attempt of shaving, there's only one hair left. Amar le, he said to him, Giluach ein kan, there's no shaving over here. Sar ein kan, and there's no hair over here. The Gemara questions that phrasing, Isar ein kan giluach yesh kan. 1 second, if there's no hair left, then there was a good shaving. Apparently all the hair has been removed. And the Gemara clarifies, Hachi Kamer, here's what he was really answering. Afal pisha sar ein kan, even though there's no hair left, all hair has been removed. But mitzvahs giluach ein kan, but the mitzvah of shaving has not been fulfilled, because again, in that second attempt, there was only one hair left, and that's not called giluach, that is not called shaving. And Tosas explains, Eimon noshra achas v'gilach achas. Again, the question is, in a case where the one hair fell out and then he shaved the last one, Kishabol legaleach seir hachik arsin and Rashi. Rashi has the gear as follows, Miamrinon hashta miyos seir ein kan. Do we say that there's no hair? Amar le giluach ein kan seir ein kan. He said there's no shaving and there's no hair. Iseir ein kan yesh kan giluach. But what do you mean? If there's no hair, then obviously it's been shaved. Hachi kamer. Here's what it means. Afal pisha seir ein kan. Even though there's no hair, meaning it seems all hair has been removed. Mitzvahs giluach ein kan. This is not called a mitzvah of shaving. Hoel defiglachas rishona shayr beisaris. Because in the first attempt at shaving, he left over 2 hairs, so that one wasn't good. Uvetiglachas zos. And now when he's doing the second attempt at shaving, lo hayarak sar echad. There's only 1 hair left. That's not called shaving either. When you attempt to shave when you only have 1 hair left, and therefore the answer to Rava's question is that in this particular case, again, if the person shaved everything except for 2 hairs, and then the one of the hairs fell out, there's only 1 left, and he shaves that last hair, that would not be effective. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Nazir chofef umefasfes. A Nazir is allowed to shampoo his hair, he's allowed to separate his hair, avalo sorig, but he's not allowed to comb his hair. And the Gemara explains, chofef umefasfes, he's allowed to shampoo, he's allowed to separate money. Who does that seem to follow? Rabbi Shimon, it seems like the Mishnah is following Rabbi Shimon. Damar davar shem eskavin mutter. Rabbi Shimon in general says that if you do something without intention, it's mutter. So here some of the hair might fall out, but that's not his intention. That's why it's mutter to shampoo and to separate the hair. Avalo sorik, but then it says in the Mishnah he's not allowed to comb his hair. Asan l'Rabbanan, that seems like it's following the Rabbanan, that davar shem eskavin is not allowed. Reisha Rabbi Shimon v'Sefer Rabbanan is the Reisha Rabbi Shimon, and the Sefer the Mishnah is the Rabbanan. Amar Rabba says, Kula Rabbi Shimon he. The whole Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon, that Dover Shem Miskavin is mutter. Kol hasorek l'hasar nimin miduldolos miskavin. But when it comes to combing, anyone who's combing, he has in mind, it actually is his intention to remove hairs that are hanging, and so therefore this is not considered a Dover Shem Miskavin in a situation of combing, and that's why that is not allowed. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah. Rabbi Yishmael Omer, Rabbi Yishmael says, Lo yachuf ba'adama. Person is not allowed to shampoo with earth. Mivnei shem asher haseir, because if you use that, it actually does remove the hair. The Gemara says, they ask the following question, Mivnei shehim masheres es hasar, is it because it removes the hair? Tanan, is that what the Mishnah is saying? Odilma mivnei ham masheres tanan. Or maybe what the Mishnah means is, there are some kinds of adama that remove the hair, and therefore you can't use any adama. And the Gemara explains, Lamai nafkamina, what's the difference? Could go into iko adama de lo master. Let's say you have a certain earth that you know does not remove hair. If you say the language of the Mishnah is because it removes the hair, so de lo master shaper, if you know that this won't remove the hair, it's fine. But if you're going to say that because of the fact that some adama removes the hair, therefore all adama is a problem, so then you wouldn't be able to use this adama either. Even if you knew it didn't remove the hair, that would be a problem. And the Gemara says, the Gemara leaves that as a question. And the Rush explains, Avalo sorek, but combing is a problem to have a psik reisha. That's already in the category of a psik reisha, meaning to say, it's not simply a davar shem miskavin, that the person's not intending that the hairs fall out, because in that case it's a psik reisha, the hairs will definitely fall out. Kedim mefarish b'Gemara, this will be explained in the Gemara, that's how the Rush understands the Gemara. For Rabbi Yishmael Omer, Aflo yachav ba'adama, that explains Rabbi Yishmael also. Rabbi Yishmael says he's not allowed to use earth as a shampoo to chashav le psik reisha, because that also is considered a psik reisha, so it is a problem. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Nazir shaya shose yayin kalayom. If a Nazir is drinking wine all day, eno chayiv el achas, he's only chayiv 1. Amrulu al tishta, if they tell him don't drink, v'hu shos, and he drinks, chayiv al kalachas v'achas, then he's chayiv on each act of drinking. Hayim megaleach kalayom, let's say he's shaving all day, eno chayiv el achas, he's only chayiv 1. Amrullah, if they say to him al tagalach, don't shave, he violates each warning. V'hu megaleach, again, and he shaves, chayiv al kalachas v'achas, he's chayiv on each act of shaving. If he's being metame lemesim, he's becoming tami mes all day. Eno chayiv el achas. Again, he's only chayiv 1. Amrulo, they say to him, al tatame, don't become tame, v'umetame, and he becomes tame, he violates each warning. Chayiv al kolachas v'achas, he's chayiv on each act independently. We will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Beis Amud Beis.